Welcome to the Outer Banks Podcast, presented by Seaside Vacations. With nearly 400 hassle-free Outer Banks vacation rentals. Begin planning your Outer Banks beach escape today at OuterBanksVacations.com.
Welcome to the Outer Banks Podcast. I'm your host, Bryn Pittman. Today, we are savoring a taste of history right from our own backyard. From the stories of the graveyard of the Atlantic to the craft in your glass, Outer Banks Distilling brings local legends to life. Joining me is Scott Smith, here to share how they turned centuries of maritime history into every pour of Kill Devil Rum. Let's dive into this fascinating journey, from history books to bottles. We are in downtown Manio, inside the social district, and just explain to me a little bit about what Outer Banks Distilling is and how you guys got started.
All right, so we're a craft distillery right here in downtown Manio. We focus entirely on rum. That's our spirit of choice, our passion, really. So we're here in the wheelhouse. That's our cocktail bar that's in our distillery here. So we make the rum here, and we also try to provide a nice experience for our guests that come in. So we have great cocktails here as well. You can have a drink, see the rum being made. You can sample any of the products as well. We try to make sure that we have something for everybody in our lineup when it comes to our rums. And we've been at this game now for about 10 years.
You guys started as 4 friends, is that correct?
We did. So we met working at the Outer Banks Brewing Station. That's where the whole project got started. So I'm one of 4. We also have Matt Newsom, we have Adam Ball, and Kelly Bray. All of us are very hands-on, very active in what we're doing. Those guys, when we met, they were all working back in the brewery, and I was bartending there. Matt also was bartending up in Duck at Roadside. So we all had known each other for quite a while around the beach, and then had a lot of mutual respect for each other, for what we were into, what we were doing. And then really one day we were talking back in the brewery about things that we wanted to do, as we were all in our early 30s at that time, and we were trying to make the move into our own business, our own, something we were passionate about. And rum was something that all 4 of us were extremely passionate about. We all knew about the rum history around here, all the legends and lore that go along with it, and nobody was really doing anything with it. And it was just a wonderful opportunity for the 4 of us to see this opportunity and really try to run with it and try to go. So we started meeting, and really we got the whole ball rolling in March of 2013. That's when we really all started meeting together, planning what we were going to do, how we were going to pull this off. And then we had to figure out a place that we could do this. And at the time in North Carolina, a law for running a distillery was you had to be on a sewer system to have a still. So that was fairly limiting in our area where we had a sewer system, but downtown Manio was a wonderful fit. And we saw that opportunity. We came over here. We started looking at what was available building wise, what was for sale. So we came over here, and the building we're in had been sitting empty for a while, and it was for sale. Literally, we saw the for sale sign in the window. We came over here, took a look at it, and it just seemed perfect for what we were going to do. And the town seemed really, really perfect for what we're going to do because of the walkability of everything here, the local community. You know, everybody really comes over to Manio, being the county seat of Dare County. Roanoke Island in general is just it's just a cool place. You know, there's nothing like it anywhere around. And we were very lucky to be accepted to doing what we're doing here in this town, the community, and to have so many people get behind us from the very beginning into what we're going to be doing.
I love the hometown feel that you guys have here. You started Kill Devil Rum. I mean, that is your flagship.
Correct. So our distillery is Outer Banks Distilling, and our brand that we make is called Kill Devil Rum, because we really like to play on the historical aspect of rum. So the first term for rum in the colonial period, before they ever actually started referring to the spirit as rum, they called it Kill Devil. And that originated in the Caribbean because people down there in those days, let your mind wander, think late 1500s, early 1600s, when they're really colonizing the islands down there and the eastern seaboard of what would become the United States. So at that time, you couldn't really drink the water. That water was infected with bacteria. So the more water you were drinking, it was going to make you sick, especially if you had really shallow wells down there. And where we are, the water wasn't exactly perfect back then. And people were spiritual. So they thought if you got sick, then you must have the devil inside you. They didn't really know what it came from. But they were taking the molasses from sugarcane production in the Caribbean islands, and they realized it would start to naturally ferment. And they could take this fermentation, they could run it through their stills, and then they had a newfound spirit, from this, and that it was safer to drink than water, but it was harsh, and they thought it would actually kill the devil inside you. And that's where that term originated. And then the town, we all live in Kill Devil Hills, and the town got its name because during these old trade routes, these ships going from the Caribbean, they were either heading up into the Chesapeake Bay region, maybe heading up to New England. They had to come by our shores. And as y'all know, we have shifting sandbars out here. We get hurricanes, tropical storms. We have the Gulf Stream and the Labrador Current meeting to form Diamond Shoals, but we're called the graveyard of the Atlantic. We're surrounded by shipwrecks. So when a shipwreck's, the first thing is going to pop back up are going to be wooden barrels. They were filled with rum. Barrels were washed ashore. People would hide them in the sand dunes when they would have the wreck sales. And that's where the spirit and the town of Kill Devil Hills got its name. And then, we're surrounded by this history all up and down our coast.
I mean, yeah, and you guys make perfect use of that history, from inside the wheelhouse to even the names of your seasonal and special editions. You guys have fully taken advantage of the history here in the Outer Banks. So speaking of some of those special editions, because I saw the Shipwreck editions, what do you got for us in that store, and what's your favorite among those?
So that's a way we can tell our history here. And it's also a way we can stay creative. So we do the Shipwreck Series twice a year. We launch it every fall and every spring. And the way it really came about was in our team meetings, we get together and we like to throw out as many creative ideas as possible. Different types of sugar sources we're able to find, different barrels we might have leads on. So what we do is we get together and say, okay, well, I had this lead on this really interesting sugar source that's grown in Barbados or grown in Central America or grown in South America, just places like that. And then we say, okay, well, we got a hold of these barrels that came from some friends of ours in the distilling world that might have another craft distillery somewhere, or just different leads we have of really unique barrels. We've used port wine barrels, red wine barrels, apple brandy barrels. We just filled some peach brandy barrels the other day, rye whiskeys, bourbon whiskey, scotch, all types of interesting things. And then we put all that together. It ages for 2 years, a minimum of 2 years. And then we always try to dedicate that to a local shipwreck. That helps us tell our story. How we do that was we have a really nice and tight relationship at ECU for the Maritime Studies Association. So what they do is they have students that are studying shipwrecks all up and down our coast. It's the underwater archaeology program. But what we usually do is months in advance, we tell them the barrel source we have, the sugar source we have, and then any other information we have about that rum. And then they put it out to their students to work on different projects of, okay, find a shipwreck that's relates to this or time period or any of that type of thing, or it could be coming from that area where the sugar came from. So they get together and they present us as much information as they can. So with that, they give us the story of the shipwreck, where it's located, any unique information, pictures of it, or at least drawings or paintings, depending on the time frame. And then we come up to name the shipwreck, and then we have them come up here at the same time. They set up a table. They use it as a fundraiser so they can fund students to come out here to dive deeper into finding shipwrecks. And then it just tells our history and our story from that. And tying in the student aspect is a really fun way for us to tell an authentic story about what we're doing.
Hands down, that is probably one of the coolest stories that I've ever heard about, a local business reaching out to a college, bringing them in, you guys giving them an opportunity to name one of your creations. It is awesome. Just a few that you have this time around: the Merlot, the Huron, the Irma.
Right. The Irma was our first one we ever did. And where that came about, right when you walk into the distillery, right in front of you, there's a large ship's wheel. And that ship's wheel came from the wreck of the Irma. And that shipwreck, it wrecked in Kill Devil Hills in 1925, and it wrecked in April, and it was during a nor'easter. So that ship wrecked directly on the beach, and it sat behind what in those days was called the Croatan Inn. So the story goes, it was sitting on the beach, and people used to party on it back then who were staying at the inn. It was a big attraction to have this big shipwreck right there behind the inn. And then 3 kids who were brothers climbed up on that wreck and they pulled off the ship's wheel. So their dad owned the inn. He took it from them and he built a bar around it. And so the bar inside the Croatan Inn at that time was called the Wheelhouse Lounge. So that building sold over time. It became Papagayo's restaurant in the early 90s or late 80s. Then it sold in 1996. It became Quagmire's restaurant. And John and Charles Kirschmeyer, who owned that, are very good friends of ours. They've always been mentors for us, in the business world and just good friends in general. When we got open here, they actually sold that building in 2006 and it was in Charles's garage. So when we got open here, they passed that down to us so we could tell that history. And then we call our bar the Wheelhouse Lounge here to commemorate that history here on the Outer Banks. And you can still see that wreck at low tide. You'll see the rib sticking up out of the sand.
Really? I don't think I've ever really gone and looked for it, but now I'm going to have to go and look for it. Now,
I can show you where it is.
Is that the wheel right behind us?
The wheel right behind us. That's it.
It is massive.
It's pretty cool to see that. We want to make sure when you come in here that everything you see is an authentic piece of Outer Banks history as it relates to either shipwrecks or just something historical in here, because we want you to feel like you're a part of this. When you're in here, you're a part of the Outer Banks. You're a part of our business. You're a part of what Kill Devil Rum really means. And you're just immersed in this history of the Outer Banks, almost like a mini Outer Banks history center while you're in here.
I was going to ask if you're a historian. I mean, all the knowledge that you've just dropped to me, I'm just kind of like, my jaw's dropped and I'm like, man,
I am a nerd.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
The mantelpiece is a a really neat
The
piece
ship
that we
timber
have
up
here.
top there.
It is. So that's a piece of what was called the Corolla wreck. Let me just go ahead and put this out there. If you're out there and you're walking on the beach, do not pick up pieces of shipwrecks. Those are federal. It's a big no-no from the government. If they catch you taking a piece of a shipwreck home with you, it's not good. I'll tell you that.
I would have never guessed that. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
let's just put that out to everybody. However, so that piece was found by a friend of ours who's a well-known beachcomber. He was up in Corolla and he found that piece and he took it home and he made it into a mantle for his house. Decided it didn't really fit his house and he wanted us to have it displayed here. So that Corolla wreck up there, you can research it. There's plenty of scholarly journals that were written about the wreck. But after a nor'easter about 10, 12 years ago, it sucked all the sand off the beach there and exposed the entire shipwreck.
Wow.
So they were able to come out, university students were able to come out, excavate it. It ended up getting taken down to the graveyard of the Atlantic Museum down in Hatteras. So that piece there, we had it on display. And then one day I got a phone call and these guys on the phone said, "Hey, I heard you have a piece of the Corolla wreck. We'd like to come talk to you." And I was like, "All right, here we go." So they came in, great guys in there. I was like, "Are y'all taking it from me or how is this going to go?" And they're like, "No, we've been in here a bunch of times. We know what it is. We want to take some samples of it because we're trying to identify it." And they were able to identify it. It's from the HMS John. It was a British warship.
Okay.
And it's from 1652.
What?
So if you look at it, it has the original wooden pegs in there. So it predates using brass or iron spikes. So a very interesting piece to have here. So we do have it displayed prominently right behind the bar. So you can see that it is the oldest shipwreck in North Carolina. So for years, it was the Queen Anne's Revenge. There was Blackbeard ship. That was the oldest shipwreck in North Carolina. So that predates it.
Do we have anything from Blackbeard? Anything in here?
No,
Nothing?
I wish.
Okay, just making sure. I'm pretty sure the feds would be after you for that one.
Yeah, there is ways to see things from him. If you check out any of the North Carolina Maritime museums, there's a great one in Beaufort as well, that they have pieces from the Queen Anne's Revenge in there. So if anyone wants to come in here and talk about any of these shipwreck pieces or want to really deep dive into this, there's a lot of avenues in here. We can direct you to people who are experts in this field, and we can send you to the right places to see this history as well.
Now, talking about making a select batch, because you guys make small batches, that's what you're kind of known for. What is the process of collecting all those ingredients that you guys use local sourced as much as you possibly can from the Outer Banks?
We do as much as we can. When it comes to the actual sugar sources, typically they're going to come from, we just don't grow sugarcane this far north. So you typically use molasses. The vast majority of the molasses we work with comes from Louisiana. It's a great source down there. So the molasses is the byproduct of cooking sugarcane juice into crystals. What's left over is that molasses. And that's typically what we work with. And that's very common in rum to be using molasses. So if we were using pure sugarcane juice, that's what in the rum world we refer to as rum agricole. And that's typically focused in the Caribbean and Martinique and Guadeloupe. Those are two places that focus on that, where molasses is your typical source of sugar for your fermentation during that process. We've used different sugar sources from all over the Caribbean, all over Central America, different yeast strands as well. The vast majority we use comes from Louisiana. But when it comes to any kind of infusions, we really try to look local for that. So one of our main rums that we work with here, it's always been a local favorite, is our pecan infused rum. It's actually a pecan honey infused rum. The recipe hasn't changed, but it's a way to highlight local agriculture. So those nuts we work with, they come from right over in Mans Harbor. It's the Harris family. They have a grove over there. So we've been using them for quite a while. Our honey sources have changed over the years just because I know it's really difficult for people to keep hives. Currently, we're using King Cobra apiary. They're based just outside of Chapel Hill. We always just try to incorporate as much local. We've done really interesting small batches. We've done fig infused rums where we got as many figs from Ocracoke as we should work with, just buckets and buckets full. We've done all different types of unique ones. And we have a winter spice rum that's getting ready to come out. Comes out on Friday. It comes out November 29th. And that one we use cocoa nibs, almond, and then we use fresh and toasted coconut. Even though coconuts don't grow here, we don't do a coconut rum. We infuse that in the winter rum just because it's fun.
I mean, that sounds delicious.
It's in hot chocolate, you can't beat it.
Okay, so with signature drinks, now if you're going to put that in hot chocolate, what is one of your favorite signature drinks that you guys make here at the Wheelhouse?
We rotate all the time. So our cocktail menu, anytime you come in here, we always have different specials, but that menu is very seasonal, changes all the time. We all love painkiller cocktails. That's a classic Caribbean drink, but we do riffs on that all the time. And by we, I mean Matt Joyner, who's our beverage director. He's behind all this. We use my favorite drink is an old fashioned, and a rum old fashioned is an incredible drink. And he does different variations on that throughout the year, specifically for seasonality. Last year for Christmas, he did a gingerbread old fashioned that was incredible. And he's working on all different types of things for this year's menu.
Anything that pops out for this year's menu that you might want to try, or?
They're all very unique, but I'm going to say you'll have to come in and try them yourself, because it's tough, because I have my own palate and my own expectations and things I like. And we try to make sure, like with our rums, when you walk in, you see our lineup of rums, there's something for everyone's palate. And then you look at our cocktail menu, there's something for everybody there as well. Whether it's one of our frozen slushies or a rum old fashioned, there's going to be something on that menu for everybody in your party.
And then moving into this season, you guys actually are part of the 12 Bars of Christmas.
We are. So that's been a big hit last year. Mark Baylog, who was the ringleader of the 12 Bars of Christmas at Lucky 12 Tavern, asked us to be a part of it. And it was a huge hit, and it raised money for charity, and everybody just had a good time.
Yeah.
And this year it's really grown to where, so we have our 12 Bars of Christmas. There's also other people got together. They're doing the Misfit Bars of Christmas as well. And all that does is create more fun for the Outer Banks. It makes such a good time for everybody. So anywhere you go, you get to be a part of it. And we're all just trying to raise money for a good cause and have fun with it.
Any special events coming up for the season?
We are. So on December 7th, we're going to be set up. Our friends at Whalebone Seafood will be here. They're doing an oyster roast. They're going to be set up outside. You can get bags of oysters to take back home with you or take back to your rental house. You can also, he's going to do steamed, raw. He's also going to be cooking shrimp out there too. So he told me that this morning. He has a way he can do like fried shrimp baskets too. And it's all local seafood. He's a local Roanoke Islander. So it's going to be a really good time.
That is awesome. Man, you have made my job extremely easy by giving me the history, a little sample, a taste of what you can expect here at the Wheelhouse. Do you guys offer like a tour if somebody wants to come in and check this history out for themselves?
If you want to see the production aspect, when you walk in, there's a huge window right in front of you. You can see the still in action. You can see all the equipment. Right now, we used to offer tours 2 and 3 times a day, and that was a big part of our business to offer that. Last year in 2023, we did a huge undertaking in the distillery where we quadrupled our production. It's been great that we can now keep up with demand. We've been adding new markets on. The problem we ran into with that is we don't have nearly as much room back there for people like we used to. When we used to do tours, we would have anywhere from 25 to 50 people sometimes back there. Now with the guys working, it's a little cramped. So if there is time, we're happy to take people back there and show them what we're working with. In the summertime, it is unreal hot back there with it still running at 200 degrees. But if we do have time, we're happy to take people back there and let them see it. But samples are always free. So you can come in, sample the rum. While you're sampling it right in front of you, you'll see that rum being made.
I know you guys are closed Sunday, Mondays.
Right. We're always closed Sundays and Mondays, but then we're open here from 10 till 9.
10 till 9. So you can come by, you can have a drink. It is in the social district. So if you're downtown Manio and you want to walk around, you can. You can walk from downtown down here to the Wheelhouse, and then you can walk around.
Absolutely. So you get a drink to go. The social district is a North Carolina law that changed around COVID to allow people to take their mixed drinks to go. So at that time, we were at half capacity for COVID. So it just made things a little easier, but everybody really loved it because it gave people an opportunity. When you're in Manio, you park and walk anyway. So you can come in here in your group, you can get a round of drinks to go. If you're the driver for the group, we also make great mocktails here as well. So you can still get that flavor profile that everyone else is getting. Happy to make that for you as well. So you can take that, go walking downtown. We have great shops downtown. There's wonderful restaurants, other bars you can support. We do have our Maritime Museum as well. We have the History Center, and you can just walk along the water as well. So it gives you a chance to support all of Manio and then have a good time while you're here.
Scott, I really appreciate the history lesson and everything that you guys do. And I can't wait to come in here during this season now to kind of, 1, see the decorations that are being hung, 2, to taste the hot chocolate and coconut rum. That is quite honestly what I'm most excited for.
A big hit.
I love the mojitos. My wife loves the painkillers. I came in the other day, it was like 2 weeks ago, and I asked her, I was like, I want something warm. I think Jessica was her name. She was behind the bar.
Right. She's an amazing bartender. Lucky to have her.
So I was like, yeah, I want something warm. She's like, we can't do that yet, but it's coming. We have warm drinks coming soon. I'm like, okay. It was a cold day.
We try to make sure we have something for every season. No matter when you come here, if you're here in July and it's hot, we have our slushy machines going, doing those mojitos as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then you come here in the wintertime and we do hot buttered rum. We do hot coffee drinks. We do hot chocolate drinks, hot apple cider. All that kind of thing is something we always offer everybody. And if you're listening to the podcast and you're sitting home and you're not on the Outer Banks and you can't come here, we do distribute all of North Carolina, Virginia. We're in DC. We have distribution in New York as well. We're in contract talks for South Carolina, Maryland, Delaware. We're adding on new states all the time. And you can order it online. So if you go to our website, outerbanksdistilling.com, click order here. It's a direct link to seller.com. They're one of our accounts in DC. They handle all of our online sales. You can order that rum, go to our website, go to the recipes page, or go to social media. If we're going to be, we blast different drinks on there all the time. Outer Banks Distilling on Facebook and Instagram. And you can try to mimic these drinks at home. And there's also bulk recipes. If you're having a Christmas party and you want to have all your friends over, we can, we have recipes for punches and all types of good things.
I was looking on your website now. there are certain recipes that you have online or that I've seen, your mixed drinks. And if you want to attempt to make this stuff at home, or if you want to allow the professionals to do it, come on down here to Mania, Roanoke Island, and check them out here at the Wheelhouse and enjoy a nice little beverage, have some fun, talk to some folks. This place is always jamming. You have a ton of people in here. Like I said, you have a collection of locals that come in here, and not even just locals, but a collection of people that visit, and that is awesome.
We are very lucky because we have not only the local community that comes in here, has drinks, supports us. We have people who are regulars here who live hours and hours away, who, if you come here once a year and you have your rental house, you come every summer and come here for a week, and you come here a couple of days throughout that time, you're part of our team. You're a regular too. If you can only be here once a year and that's when you're here, we're happy to see you.
So it's outerbanksdistilling.com. Make sure you check them out. Scott, once again, thank you very much.
I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through the rich history and bold flavors of the Outer Banks. Until next time, keep the spirits of adventure and a glass of Kill Devil Rum close by.